Hello and welcome to another episode of Anime Review for Mob Psycho, Bleach, and Chainsaw Man. This is for episode 10 of each anime, and yeah, let's just get started with Mob Psycho because a lot of things happened. Also, I know I didn't really I said I was gonna do this episode like a day after the other one, but I kind of waited 2 days because it'd be like that sometimes. So yeah, episode 9 of Mob Psycho ended with Mob getting to a car accident where he got he got hit and he's like bleeding out, and this episode starts with showing that again, and you get to like really see more of him bleeding out, and the citizens, I guess, kind of reacting to it. The kid kind of being traumatized, honestly, and the guy that hit him was like, oh shit, gotta call an ambulance. They're saying like he's not moving, but then obviously Mob ain't dead because he's got that dog in him, you know what I mean? Seems like he went psycho, because there's a crater around him, and like he starts causing earthquakes everywhere. And you gotta think, right? Like, I think he goes psycho every time he becomes unconscious like this, because it happened when Hanazawa fought him the first time in season 1, where he choked him out until he passed out, and then he went psycho. And then it happened in the flashback with Ritsu and him when they were like kids, and like he like blacked out and then fucked up some of the bullies. So, and then it seems like whenever that happens, he kind of has no control over him being psycho. But every other time when he's gone 100%, it's still Mob, kind of not fully in control, but he has like some say, and he's like talking and stuff. But every other moment when he's unconscious, it seems like there's no reasoning with him. Though we get to see he kind of has like some consciousness later on in the episode. But basically, what leads to that is Hanazawa shows up to fight Mob, and honestly, I don't know what Hanazawa is thinking, because there ain't no way he's gonna beat Mob. And I think he even Hanazawa knows that, but he thought maybe there's some other way you can talk Mob down from being in the psycho state he's in. But I feel like even viewers know, it's yeah, man, no one's stopping Mob. Even a little spoiler, but if you're watching this, you probably watched the episode. Show's dad shows up at the end. I don't even think Show's dad could stop Mob, because people say oh, that even Dimple was like, oh yeah, he fought at his limit against Show's dad. I kind of don't believe that. I feel like Mob just no diffed him. That's my opinion, though. I could be wrong, but basically the Hanazawa fight happens and he gets wrecked, obviously. Even though Hanazawa, it's kind of fucked up this entire season. Hanazawa's kind of gotten shafted the whole season, because in the first arc he got brainwashed by Dimple, and even though he fought Dimple for a little bit, he didn't really stand a chance. And then after getting brainwashed, he fought Mob for a little bit, and then got wrecked there. And even before then, he was shown to be not a bad friend to Mob, but to he gave Mob a shitty shirt, which in turn ended up helping him, because he got Dimple to react, which let Mob change his mind about Dimple a little bit. Not sure if you understand what I'm trying to say, but that shirt ended up saving the world, basically. So did Hanazawa really do a bad thing by giving him that shirt? Maybe he's the 1000 IQ person. He planned all of this. He's the Aizen of this show. But I do enjoy this fight, not just for its animation, right? The Bones is always going to be fucking superb with their fights and like animating that kind of stuff. But I think like the forefront of it was Hanazawa's character, how like everything has been in this whole season so far with Dimple, Tomei, like a lot of these characters are kind of going full circle with their character development, because Hanazawa started off in season one, being the very self centered person, thinking the world revolves around him. He his line was like, "Oh, I'm the main character, the protagonist of this story." But then, Mob teaches him a lesson where it's like, yo, you can't really be that self-centered. The world doesn't revolve around you. Like, yeah, sure, you have psychic powers, and that may make you like special in some regards. But it's, what does that really mean when you don't have the self-worth? Like, if it's the whole Tony Stark with I was about to say Tom Holland, Peter Parker, who are you without the suit? And it's like Mob taught him that lesson about like, his self worth, all that kind of stuff. I'm terrible with words, by the way. But because of that interaction, Hanazawa kind of holds Mob to a pedestal, where it's like, oh yeah, Mob, he's a good dude. And when he's seeing all the destruction Mob is causing in his state right now, he's like, oh shit, man. Like, because he knows Mob is like the timid, wholesome, like soft guy, it's like, even though he's causing all this destruction, when Mob regains consciousness, he knows Mob's the kind of person that would feel really bad about what he did. Because when it first happened, when he fought, they did a little flashback. Mob was crying, and I think, honestly, I don't really know how Hanazawa figured that out, because I'm pretty sure he was like flying up in the air at that moment, and then like landed afterwards. Well, actually, maybe he saw Mob crying while he was landing, but anyways, he knows, because of that. I think his objective was never to defeat Mob, because he knew that he couldn't do that, but he thought like maybe if he could touch Mob in some way, he could like snap him out of it. Doesn't work out, but he does end up saving all the citizens around him and stuff. And I think I wonder if that's going to play a part in like the following episodes, or if this is just like flat out his development, because it is a cool development, but it felt weird that it took up an entire episode for like, oh, I gotta like make sure Mob is all right, kind of thing. Like, he's like, Hanazawa's a, you can really see him. He has changed since the beginning, which is what I was saying about Mob as well. And it's good showing this, but I'm unsure how I feel, because it took up an entire episode, and there's only 2 episodes left. It's funny because like after watching this, I was like, oh damn, like the pacing of the show is really good, even though like they're only animating like 10 chapters or so. Like, nothing really feels dragged on or anything. And even though I say that, like, it's not like this felt like it was dragged, but it definitely felt like, wow, one whole episode and not much happened, but it was a good episode still, right? Like, you got like amazing animation, amazing storytelling. It is what it is. But yeah, after Hanazawa is defeated, it's another throwback where top of his head was scalped off, shaved off. I don't know how you're supposed to say that, but that because of what happened in season 1 when he cut his hair. Then, yeah, I guess like Mob just is continuing his psycho rampage, and he's still holding the flowers. So I guess his objective is to just meet Tsubomi. Maybe it's one of those things where it's like, oh, I like, it's so inside Mob that he wants to meet with Tsubomi, that like he would do it by any means, and it's like even after he got knocked out, has a concussion, not just a concussion, he's out, like, you know. So it's like he like maybe he's dead. Honestly, maybe it's a thing where like this psychic power inside of him is just keeping him alive. I doubt it's gonna be something like that, because you see Mob like sort of talking in his consciousness in like the second half of the fight. Like, you know how it's like, oh my god, I'm fucking up Hanazawa. It is what it is. No, that's what Mob said, but you know, Mob's feeling bad about what's happening. But it's weird because you would think that would mean like he could regain control of his body, but that's not happening for some reason. So then yeah, Tsubomi's still waiting at the park, even though like there's all these earthquakes and emergency messages being sent. Where it's like, oh yeah, go find shelter, go to a thingy. You see like the school kids all show up at the gym, I think, and they I think that's when like they show everyone notice that that's Mob causing all this, because like there's a photo spring when I was like, they're like, oh, that's the psychic helmet. The gym bodybuilding body improvement club is like, oh shit, I know who that is. So I wonder if they're gonna get a moment as well. Reagan and Teruzawa. Oh man, I'll feel bad if I fuck that up. But yeah, those two find out it's Mob. And yeah, Tsubomi's just still chilling. Then we get to see the sword guy and like the helix guy come up, and like you see like they have a job as well. And like it's kind of cool that you get to see like the members of Claw like find their place in society other than, you know, be like villains and shit. So yeah, they realize that some shit's going on, so they use their psychic powers. You know, like the helix guy gets the fucking shit, and the sword guy is using tongs to fight, and you're like, oh my god, they're gonna get no diff as well, because like what the fuck are they gonna do to Mob? Though, you know, maybe they've gotten strong as well. Like Hanazawa said, he got stronger since the last time they fought, but you know, he also got no diff. And then the final scene of the episode is with Sho's dad, and yes, I forgot his name. I think it's like something like Suzuki or something like that. But yeah, he's being dropped off by like the government dude, the guy who's like smoking and like can like make shit with the smoke. So I assume it's like one of those things where the government's like, oh, here's our strongest psychics that we have in prison. Let them go fight this trouble thing happening here. And yeah, Sho's dad is like to the other people in the plane is like, he like fucking fucks them up, like knocks them out, and he's like, yeah, I got this. I know who this is. Like I can sense his energy. And you also see like another member of, oh, wait, it's not Claw, is it? Because Claw is the defects. Well, what was the name of like Sho's dad's organization? I forget. Oh well, but the psychic organization, right? The guy that can like control electronics is flying the plane. I think they said something like, oh, because of all the psychic energy, using electronics is troublesome. So maybe that's the reason why they brought him to fly the plane. But I don't really know. And yeah, Sho's dad jumps in without a parachute, and that shit was pretty sick. You know, I'm like, oh my god. Even though I'm like, I said beforehand, like he's probably gonna get like no diff. I like the hype is there. Like throughout this whole episode, actually, I feel like the soundtrack really shined with like increasing the tension and like, you know, setting up that kind of mood for like this being the final showdown. And I wonder if like some of the other characters are gonna show up again, like the I forgot his name as well, the the blind guy that can like teleport really fast. Whoever the fuck that was, but yeah, imagine he did something. That'd be cool. But yeah, overall good episode. I think I'll give it like maybe 8-9 out of 10. Solid episode. Did feel a little dragged on, but not to the point where I'm like, oh, it held like it was a detriment to the episode. It was just more of like it didn't progress as much as like some of the other episodes, in my opinion. And but like the animation, the fight, Hanazawa's moment definitely more than made up for it. So yeah, really good episode of Mob Psycho. On to Bleach. Now, episode 10 of Bleach. This is the moment that a lot of Bleach manga fans have been waiting for. Was this fight? Everyone was like, oh my god, this is going to be one of the like greatest fights in all of anime. And if I were to give my honest opinion, right, they did not do it justice. I don't know if it's just me. Like I'll say like the fight was still good, right? Yeah, it was still amazing. I think like the animation was amazing. The voice acting, I think, was the reason. Like, how do you say? Brought it up to like another level. Like Unohana's and Kenpachi's voice actors did a stellar job with this fight. But maybe it's because like they paired like the second half with Ichigo's and Renji's sort of Zanpakuto story. But like it felt like the moment wasn't as special as I hoped it to be, because I remember reading the manga like years ago. I was like, damn, this is one of the like craziest hype fights ever, right, in manga, or at least in Bleach. And they made that fight like really short, I remember. Or maybe it was like a thing where like they spread it out every now and then, and like it like for like the Kenpachi, right, which is supposed to be like the strongest Soul Reaper, or maybe like the most skilled swordsman, whatever the title is supposed to be, most deadly. For like and like the whole plot twist with Unohana being the first Kenpachi, and how it's she gave it up to other people, which eventually led to Zaraki being the next Kenpachi, or the latest Kenpachi. You're like, damn, this is a hyped fight. Like, there's so much building up to it, and then it delivers in the story aspect as well when you go to Unohana's and Kenpachi's backstory, where Unohana found Kenpachi as a kid. It was a really cool scene as well, where like there's a pile of bodies, and some guy's like, oh dude, you can't go on a rampage and just killing everyone just so you can have a good fight, like look at all these bodies. And she's like, wait, when did that pile of bodies appear there? And you see Kenpachi appear on top of it, and you're like, oh my god, he can't fuck with Unohana. Like, she's a captain. She's the Kenpachi, the first Kenpachi. But Kenpachi, yeah, how you gonna? I'll just say Zaraki. Zaraki scarred her in his first attack, which led to them fighting, and then the whole story is Zaraki this was the first time Zaraki ever enjoyed a fight, because like all the other fights he's been in, he just fucking like easily took care of it. But in this fight, there was like actually some challenge to it. But then as the fight was nearing its end, and it was kind of obvious that Unohana was losing, Zaraki started to like try less, because he wanted to live on the edge more. Or not live on the edge, it was more he wanted to prolong the fight. He didn't want this fight to end. Like, the first time he's met someone somewhat competent, it's like, damn, like, how is he gonna give up that fight? Not give up the fight. He's just gonna kill her because like, he may never find another opponent like that ever again. And that makes sense when you think about all his other battles, which have been like really like marginally lost or won, like the Ichigo fight, the one of the Espadas fight. It's like, you know, he never really like fully overwhelmed someone, so it makes sense character wise as well, and you're just like, oh my god, this shit's crazy. And then it goes to another level when they say Unohana's like, oh, Zaraki, he gets stronger every time he has a near death experience because it pushes his limits, not pushes his limits that he set upon himself, which happened because of Unohana. And then that's why Unohana last episode and this episode kept saying like, oh, this is my sin I placed upon you, or some my curse, something like that, because you know the reason why he holds back was because of Unohana. And yeah, you get to see Unohana's Bankai, and like, oh, this is kind of what I mean by like the voice actors going crazy, because when she says Bankai, I'm just like, oh my god, I got chills, bro. She was crazy. Then she put a hand on the sword and started like having blood everywhere, and then her Bankai is like some sort of blood weld kind of thing where she can use it. She can use blood to like fucking like throw blood at them or use it as like a shield, and then it seems to like heal her as well. Not really sure. They didn't really explain it. Not that they have to, but you know, I have no idea what the fuck that was, but it looked cool though. You know, which is funny because I don't know, for some reason I always thought her Bankai was the like manta ray thingy that she flies on, but I guess that's just her Shikai. But you know, it is what it is. But yeah, Unohana dies to Zaraki, and you know, she gives a whole speech on how like, yo, like, I'm happy that I did my duty, like job, task, you know, of there can only be one Kenpachi, and if she has to die to set free Kenpachi's, Zaraki's limits, then she's fine with that apparently, which is sad because like, you know, I like Unohana. I kind of wish she lived, but you know, it's one of those deaths where it's like you understand it and you really understand why it had to happen. A lot of like other deaths in anime, like they do it, and sometimes it feels like it's in vain. Like, man, did that character really have to die? It kind of felt like they're like, oh, in this arc, you know, some characters had to die, so let's kill someone off. But this felt like it was like predestined, right? Like, this is how the story was meant to go. Since they first met in that flashback, which has always been their backstories, you know, and has been foreshadowed a bunch of times. It just makes sense, and you know, that's kind of what I mean by it made me like, I have mixed feelings, because even though it's a great moment, I feel like the episode didn't do it justice. Even though like that fight where like, you know, they start turning to skeletons and stuff, and it looks really good. It I think part of it is because they kind of went too crazy with the Yuabaha and Yamamoto fight in the beginning, even like the Ichigo and what do you call it? Ichigo and Yuabak fight as well. Like, they just, because of the highs of those kinds of fights, for some reason, like, those fights had so much energy to it. Where this, even though like, dude, like, it's a really cool fight in terms of like how it was choreographed, the way that they were like shifting across to like the screen and shit, and like you can see like the clothes like waver. Like they're like, I don't want to like discredit the fight in some way, but like for some reason it felt lacking, and I'm not really sure why. Because like the moment was there, the story was there. I don't know. Like I'm confused. I can usually like maybe give it a week. I'll be able to like fully process and understand uh how I felt towards that fight. But you know, all I can say is like I felt like they didn't do it justice. I don't know what else to say but that. Anyways, Zaraki finally has his Zanpakuto talk to him, so he probably can now awaken his sword into Shikai form, and then probably later on to Bankai, which is very, very interesting, and we'll get to see what happens with that later on. Anyways, second half had to do with Ichigo and Renji meeting Oetsu, the creator of Zanpakuto, and they have to like fight a bunch of what are they called? I didn't write it in my notes. The Asochi, something like that. Where like they're the beginning forms of like Zanpakuto, like they're kind of like, I guess you could say like the children that Soul Reapers are given to Soul Reapers, and then as they spend time with them over like how many years, they evolve or like turn into a Zanpakuto like properly, which has like I guess a soul to it and can be awakened. And in this exercise where Oetsu throws him into a pit full of them, they kind of have to like prove themselves to the Asochi, that they want to. I don't want to say be held by them. How can you explain this? They're worthy of a Zanpakuto because both of them broke their Zanpakuto, which is kind of like, oh, you mistreated them, you don't take care of them, like blah 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 blah. So yeah, I guess that's their whole thing. And Renji passes after 3 days, and Ichigo fails, and Oetsu is like, yo, you don't deserve a Zanpakuto, go find your roots. And then he gets sent back to his clinic where he's probably going to talk to his dad, and this is going to be one of the I think the next episode is probably going to be a big plot dump. Not plot dump, but like backstory episode. And then the next 2 episodes are because they said I think the last 2 episodes are going to be a combined 1 hour special or something like that. So I'm interested like I'm ready for that. We're gonna see what happens. But yeah, overall, good episode of Bleach. They kind of like tied it together, I guess, a little bit because Zaraki finding his Zanpakuto's name, and even with the fight with Unohana, and Ichigo and Renji needing to find their Zanpakutos as well. You're like thematically, I guess, it kind of works together, sort of. But I gotta be honest, as I've been saying, not as great as I hoped it would be, not as great as I hyped it up to be. Maybe that's my fault. Maybe my expectations were too high. So yeah, even though like, oh man, they did. The thing is, right, they did a really good job of hyping you up in episode 9, with this fight. So I felt like that was the reason why I was so hyped for episode 10. But this felt like, the energy was here, right? And then the episode 9 happened, and it peaked like this, and with trajectory mathematics, right? You're thinking it's going straight up, but like what happened was like episode 9 went like that, and you're expecting it to keep going up, but it like plateaued and then like kept going straight like that, and you're like, it's not that it was bad, it's just like, oh man, you expect the trajectory to keep going up, and it didn't. So yeah, I think I'm gonna give this episode a 7 out of 10. It's a good episode, but not as great as I hoped it to be. Oh yeah, I didn't even like talk about how this probably had my favorite title drop in the past 10 episodes, because it was like it was on Unohana's sword that had like blood on it, and then like it started dripping away, and then it revealed the battle on it. I'm like, damn, that shit was kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie, can't front. Anyways, on to Chainsaw Man. Alright, so yeah, episode 9 ended with Kobeni showing off and Makima showing off as well. And this episode starts with Power and Denji visiting Aki at the hospital because Aki got fucked. And also lost his like sort of half girlfriend. Not really half girlfriend, but like, love interest. Even though he keeps referring to her as a partner. And you find out that Power, Denji, and Aki and Kobeni are the only 4 left living in Squad 4, because the other guy that lived left, which they showed last episode. But I thought this hospital scene was so good, because even like the beginning with Power and Denji visiting, it's reminiscent of when Aki visited Denji, and how that was done in a way that was like, it seemed like Aki didn't really care too much about Denji, but his what do you call it? I said it in the episode. I think I said his respect for Denji grew because of his decision to like protect Power, and I guess this is kind of the flip of it, where Power and Denji sort of have not respect, but like this kind of shows that they somewhat care about Aki, even though later on in the episode they say like, oh, I kind of have no bad feelings if a what do you call it, a coworker dies, but they still have like the like a thought process to like visit him in the hospital, which is a cool gesture. But then basically after they leave, oh my god, this is probably one of my favorite scenes in Chainsaw Man so far, was Aki grieving over the loss of Himeno, because it's because like they kind of pair it with the apple that's there, that's Denji gave to Aki, and how like the apple kind of represents maybe not so much of a positive thing, but like it's a gift. So it's like, it's healthy, it's good for you, etc. But then he reaches out for the pack of cigarettes, which reminds him of Himeno. But then when he goes for a smoke, he can't even smoke, bro. Like, because it reminds him so much of Himeno, and like, oh my god, he breaks down. He like scrunches up the cigarette, and like he starts crying. I'm like, oh my god. If I liked Himeno, I probably would have cried too. But I talked about how she's probably like bottom in terms of what do you call it, waifu list in Chainsaw Man. Oh, speaking of waifu list, Power rose back to number 1, which is fucked up because last episode I was like, oh yeah, Kobeni, she overtook Power. Like, I don't know where the fuck Power is. Like, Kobeni number 1, but like as more scenes with Power, she goes back to number 1. It's like, it's not even a discussion. Watch me change my mind again as like the next episode happens and we see Kobeni, and I'm like, oh, Kobeni number 1. I wonder how many times that's gonna switch up on me. But yeah, after that scene with Aki crying, which I really enjoyed, you see Denji like hear it from behind the door. He's like, oh my, I just went to get my manga back, but he started crying. Can't really interrupt him now. And then he starts contemplating uh his like consciousness on how he deals with people's death. Because he said, oh, when Pochita died, I didn't really. I felt sad a little bit, but I didn't feel too bad. I was getting right back into it, and he started wondering how, like, oh, Himeno was the first person that wanted to be his friend, but he after she died, he still didn't cry. He started imagining if Power died, he probably wouldn't cry. If uh Aki died, he probably wouldn't cry. If Makima died, he says he might feel sad for like a few days, but he'll probably get back to living as he normally is. And I I really enjoyed this scene as well because it explores another layer of his character, which they haven't done previously. Or at least when they've done previously, it's more of him not really thinking about it at all. Him being like an idiot, naive fool who hasn't really grown up around people. So he has this like kind of skewed perspective on life, on friendships, on bonds. Uh, these are pretty much the first people he's bonding with, like the Squad 4 people, Makima, or the people in like the Devil Hunters, right? So even even though you could say like, oh, it ends with him like like kind of feeling heartless, where he's like, oh my god, maybe my heart's dead, and like all of that stuff. I view it definitely more as he has a trauma is kind of a strong word, but I'll guess I'll use it. He has trauma on, like, through life, because the whole thing was like he's been used by the Yakuza, didn't really have people growing up, had a fucked up childhood where his dad committed suicide. He only really had Pochita. He had to like work really hard to like just live. Like he was eating scraps and fucking garbage just to live. So yeah, like, if trauma is the right word, you could say he's been traumatized. So what? It's not that like he's heartless. It's more like he hasn't really healed or grown from his experiences yet to the point where he could healthily connect with people and like start creating bonds to the point where he could grieve over someone dying. Or maybe I'm completely off base and the whole thing is supposed to be he's a psychopath, heartless person, but I don't think it's supposed to be that. I at least so far in the whole story, I feel like I've been pretty on point with Denji's character on how like they're showing him to be pathetic, but it's purposely done just to show his character progression from the beginning to what's going to happen later on. So, yeah, I'm interested to see what happens in terms of his character development. The rest of the episode is basically Denji and Power training with Kishibe, who is voiced by damn, I probably should have wrote his name down. Very good voice actor, talented voice actor, who does very good old man voices. I would say what other animes he's been in, but I feel like I don't want to be wrong, so I'm just gonna keep silent because I've definitely heard his voice before, where he's done like old man, not necessarily old man voice, but wise, older, maybe at times not even wise, just like he does gruffy voice very well. And I think he's a perfect pick for what Kishibe is, because Denji and Power, or like his training method is basically, oh, I'm gonna hunt you two, and you guys just gotta get stronger, or else you're just gonna keep dying to me. Not really dying, but like he just like immobilizes them because like they're devils, so all they need is blood to heal up. And so like the first training day session, I guess, like Denji said he died like 20 times, or Power said Denji died over 20 times, but she doesn't really know because That's only when she was conscious, so it could be way more than that. And yeah, Kishibe is a fucking beast. Like the way he easily is like dealing with Power and Denji, and then like even the second day, as after the first session when Denji and Power were going back home, they were like, oh, we gotta start using our brains. We could be like the shonen manga people that are like super smart that create a plan. And dude, it was so fucking. I love those two because they're so stupid, but they're so funny. It's very entertaining. Like part of the reason why I think Power's best girl is just like, oh my god, she's so funny. It's a joy whenever she's on camera. On camera, like they have cameras in anime. But yeah, like also Power looks fucking fine as fuck with glasses. I'm like, oh my god, women in glasses, step on me. But anyways, yeah, when they set up a plan, they kind of, it's kind of cool that they're using their heads in battle, setting up a trap, an ambush, and whatsoever against Kishibe, but it doesn't work out because Kishibe is a beast. And then on the other side, Aki is looking for a power up, where the two people from Kyoto are like, oh yeah, go make a contract with the future devil. And I wonder what's going to happen there, because they revealed that Aki can't use the Fox Devil anymore because of the katana fight, and probably because the Fox Devil got slashed open. So I think they said something like, oh, she's mad at you or something like that. And the Curse Devil, he said, the Curse Devil said, like, you only have 2 years left, which I don't really know how it works with his power, because I think he said that the curse using that sword takes away 3 years of his life. So does that mean he can't even use it anymore? I don't know. So yeah. And then there's also a little story where Himeno's little sister shows up at the hospital to meet with him and show him letters, which is kind of fucked up. Not fucked up from her, but like just like a fucked up story, because it's just showing how Himeno's like, damn, I really want to get Aki out of the special division and get out of public, go private, so you have a better chance of living. And it really, oh man, it just really hurts when you just think about how Himeno, all she wanted was a happy life with her man Aki. Like, god damn it, like I can't even. This is what I hate about guys, bro. Like, you got a fucking good woman right there, and instead you're chasing Makima. Like, what the fuck's wrong with you? This is fucking fuck, man. Am I right? Though Aki is kind of hot as well, so he could probably bounce back. I don't know what you thought I was gonna say. But yeah, Aki is probably gonna make a contract with the future devil. I'm guessing it's gonna be some shit where it's like, oh, you're gonna lose everything because Himeno lost everything, and she still lost with the ghost devil. But what else does Aki have to offer? Because he gave so many years of his life to the cursed devil. The Fox Devil doesn't like him anymore, so like they were saying how the future devil took away like eyeballs and like the sense of taste and other shit. So what does Aki have to offer? Though, like, Aki's hot, so maybe the future devil will be like, oh, you're kind of sexy, I'll give it to you for free. I doubt that's gonna happen, but yeah, kind of a crazy cliffhanger. Yeah, all in all, damn, now I really think about it, I might give this episode a 10 out of 10, because it kind of went all out in all aspects, like in terms of character development with Denji, hitting those emotional notes with Aki and Himeno. It hit the the like action with the Denji power and training with Kishibe. Like wow, this episode really had it all. I think I'm giving it a 10 out of 10, which is crazy. That's crazy. Oh my god. Damn, Chainsaw Man might be my favorite anime out of this three. But we only have 2 episodes left for everything. I think actually I think Bleach has 13, but the last episode will be like an hour special for episode 12 and 13. But I think Mob Psycho has 12 and Chainsaw Man has 12. That's crazy to think about. But yeah, that was week 10, episode 10 for the anime review for Chainsaw Man, Bleach, and Mob Psycho. Do I have anything left to say? I'm excited for the next season of anime. I wonder if I'm gonna do like 3 anime again for the next set of seasons, because I don't even know what I'm gonna choose to watch yet. Maybe I'll do a thing where like I'll let you guys decide, though, you know, I don't even know if people watch me. But yeah, that's the end of the anime review. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. See you next week.